All right, we're catching up with what I have to say is the best beard so far at Gamescom 2013. Zombie Studios, Jared here is Blacklight Retribution coming to PS4. Sort of like, can you tell us a little bit how that opportunity came to be?
About 2 years ago at E3, we got pulled into a big secret meeting by one of my friends from a previous studio that went to Sony. And they said that they've got an initiative to start working with indie developers. And he brought me in and I met some of their guys and a bunch of devs that all just happen to be doing PlayStation 4 games right now. And it was really great getting brought into that. And the first thing that I said though was, if we're gonna do this, I want to feel the controller. And so a couple months later they had me come down to Sony San Francisco and I got to see the controller. And I said absolutely, and you know, the kind of it's all history now. It's just been really crazy. We got the rights back for Blacklight on the console, and so when we did that, you know, we talked to both, and Sony was one of those. You know, they said we're doing indie development, and it was just kind of one of those things where we had to do it.
Was that sort of a struggle for you with getting the rights back and sort of getting through that? I mean, sometimes as a developer you can be a little bit locked down.
It wasn't a huge struggle, no. The previous publisher didn't have the bandwidth to do it, so we were able to get it back, and that's, you know, kind of how it happened. But it's really cool though, because we still have a good relationship with them, so everything that we do on the PlayStation will go back to the PC. And you know, all of our focus that we have right now is you know, we've got a year and a half worth of content that we're going to be able to put on the PlayStation. So there's going to be a crap load of content, but we're focusing a lot on competitive sports right now. And you know, it's not just a buzzword that we're throwing around though. We're really working hard on making it as good as possible, and that's why we partnered with the ESL and MLG in the States. And so we're working with them, talking with them about everything. And it's really, really cool, the evolution that the game's having on the console is very, very neat. And then all the APIs that they added to it, the live share, and just the streaming, everything that PCs have become a norm. You know, the last gen of consoles, I don't think anyone expected it to happen. I don't think they expected YouTube to blow up the way it did.
And it's really an interesting thing, and I guess being the sort of the kind of game Blacklight is, it's really sort of relying heavily on that sort of component to be there as well. So if it hadn't been for all those features, it would sort of be a little bit more difficult to do this kind of game, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, being free to play,
gotta get out there and be seen.
There's only a handful of free to play games on both consoles right now. This is pretty much the first generation of free to play, and so that's really wild. And then when they told us at E3, well, actually they announced it on stage before they told us that Blacklight is in front of the PlayStation Plus wall, so you don't have to have PlayStation Plus to play the game. I mean, that was great. You know, it's
going to be one of the very, very few multiplayer games that you can actually play without.
Yeah, it's us, DC Universe, Warframe, and PlanetSide when it comes out. I mean, it's not, and that's really crazy and really cool considering all of the giant shooters that are coming out this year. I mean, this is the most packed year I've ever seen, and for little Blacklight, it's kind of one of those scary things where it's like, crap, there's some big hitters coming out, but I think that the fact that it's going to be zero entry fee is going to be great for us.
So I suppose also it's a long-term thing, because as a free-to-play, maybe the start of the generation isn't really when you can expect a big number of players there, but you have to look sort of years ahead when the install base will be there for the really massive amounts of players.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at League of Legends. How long has that been out? It's been out for years, and this is like the second year of it being this monster. And so, you know, we're not in a rush. We want to do the right thing. We're not breaking the game and trying to fix it again. We're really trying to do minimal adjustments and try to make it as much fun as possible without losing what it is. And I think we're doing a good job with it. It's really exciting, and the best part about free to play is it's not based on sales. Like I don't go into the office and they say, listen, we haven't sold any copies, so we're not going to support it anymore unless you release DLC. That microtransaction thing just kind of keeps the dial spinning, so it allows a really small team to keep on making new content, which drives players back, makes new maps, makes more focus, and it's not like I have to have an 80 to 100 person team to keep this giant monster moving. It's make a map, make some new content, just keep it rolling out, and that's where we get a successful product, I think.
So is that something that you think will be exactly the same on PS4, or will there be anything that you might want to tweak or change? Or
yeah, I mean the addition of the controller, we're definitely changing a lot of the mechanic. The not the core mechanics, like all the same things are there, but it's really a controller is different than a mouse and keyboard. That's a major factor.
Are you planning cross-platform play as well, or how do you feel about that? Is that something that's difficult to do?
It all depends on how people in business suits react to each other.
What?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's all a matter of people getting along and information being shared that might not normally get shared. So it's one of those things where hopefully things can get brought together and companies can see eye to eye. We're not in a rush. Like right now, we're in a rush to hit beta, release beta, bug fix the crap out of it, try to make sure that it's bulletproof, go out of beta, really focus on competitive with the players, and move. And maybe if people can get along, maybe we can do that. But right now the big question is PlayStation with mouse and keyboard support. We still haven't figured that one out yet. We're still waiting to get all of the things that we need to do. And the great part is, like, when that comes, we don't have to wait for the next year or the next iteration or the next E3 to get the giant booth. It's boom, let's get it done, put it out, and kind of go from there. So it's a constant evolution. It's really exciting.
And is it a case that you're sort of free to update the game as much as you want, or is there still some sort of limit to that, or rules that you have to abide to?
We're still working on it. Sony realizes that we need to update a lot more than your standard game. So we're talking about it. We're having meetings. It's going to be an interesting deal. I think they're working really hard, because it's not just us. It's the PlanetSide guys. It's Warframe. It's DC, where it's like, hey, we need to update. Like, we update almost monthly, and so that's the big thing, is just constantly making sure you can update, or oh crap, this broke, fix it. Keep on going from there. So it's going to be a really crazy year.
So you're a launch title, obviously. I think that's been said, or?
It's targeted launch. We'll see what happens.
So will that be a beta, or will you sort of be live then, or what do you think?
We're definitely going to call it a beta. It's a multiplayer game, and it's the first time that it's been on this console. So I want to call it a beta just for sanity's sake and for new players to come. I don't know, you can release a game. That's why day one patches happen, is you release a game and you go, oh crap, if we have this many people doing X, it makes everything explode. So we're going to call it a beta. We're going to find all those things, fix them, and then we'll go through cert, and then we'll call it the Gold Master or whatnot, and remove the beta logo. But yeah, I mean, we plan on making sure that before we call it full ship, it's going to go through a mini beta phase.
So if for one question we talk a little bit broader about Zombie, I think you're one of those studios that have sort of evolved in the recent years from sort of going the traditional work-for-hire AAA route to more of a self-contained indie studio. What's that been like, and what's the culture like at the studio right now?
I've been there for 7 years, and when our previous CEO left to go work on Hawken and start Meteor Entertainment, he put myself, my executive producer and art director and lead engineer, kind of like, okay, you guys taking the reins. We still had our original founder CEO, so we still had one person that was, you know, the sane person in the asylum. But we really just started going, okay, what do we believe in? What do we want to do? And it's been crazy. It's kind of like a reboot to the entire studio. Like I've been in meetings and they're like, man, this is amazing. You guys, a startup getting all these projects. Like, actually, we're almost 20 years old. And it's kind of like, what? And then they have to look it up. I'm like, oh, crap, you guys have been around for a while. So we have the infrastructure of adults, and then it's a bunch of young dudes running around trying to make the coolest game they possibly can. And we just get all these great games. Like Daylight's very exciting. That was literally me watching YouTube one day and coming in and saying, hey, if we talk to Epic and get an Unreal 4 license for a good price, can we do this game? Yeah, let's try it out. That doesn't normally happen. Normally you have to go, okay, well, you need to pitch it to the execs, you need to do this and that, and so we're really putting our money where our mouth is, you know, so to speak, and it's going to be a really crazy year. You know, we've got Guardians of Middle-earth on the PC coming out now, and
totally different kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and that's the cool part is we started working with Warner Brothers on small projects, and we're moving into like a bunch of other things. It's really wild. It's really crazy, and it's like 7 years ago, you know, doing the games that we were doing, very very much work for hire, and now it's kind of like, no, we don't want to do that anymore. So it's kind of a dream come true, really.
The landscape is very different than it was 7 years ago, so I guess you gotta change to stay alive.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, that's what you're going to normally see is you have to keep an eye on the landscape, and I mean, Daylight's probably the one of those games that I would like to say, you know, me knowing the industry, but also the industry that's forming of YouTube. And it's like, okay, multiplayer games do really great. If you do a single storyline, they're just going to YouTube it. Why would I buy it? I want to experience Minecraft DayZ, you know, something that's constantly changing, and that's what Daylight is. And so it's like, this is what the landscape's going to be. And I mean, the thing that screams it the most is the fact that the PlayStation controller has a share button. I mean, that's crazy. Everyone's going to have a Twitch account. Everyone's going to have a YouTube account. Everyone's going to just blow up with all of this content. And if you don't have good content, people are just going to watch that video and be like, cool, I experienced the game, I'm going to walk away from, and that's it. And I don't think, you know, the big companies realize that. And so, you know, here comes little zombie. We're going to, you know, cut your Achilles tendon and climb up on you. So it'll be an interesting couple of years, I think. You know,
lots to look forward to. So do you have a time schedule ahead for Daylights, or what's going on there?
Daylight's going to be Q1 of this next year.
So Guardians of Middle-earth, Blacklight Retribution, and Daylights is a busy time ahead.
yeah, it's really great, and that's just for now.
There's always tomorrow as well.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.